I'm Richard Gearhart, founder of Gearhart Law, a firm specializing in patents, trademarks, and copyrights.
And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart, not an attorney, but I work at Gearhart Law doing the marketing, and I have my own startup.
Welcome to Passage to Profit, the road to entrepreneurship, where we talk with entrepreneurs, small businesses, and discuss the intellectual property that helps them flourish. Today, our special guest is Marco Torres. He's the founder of Marketing Boost and incentive-based marketing expert.
I can hardly wait to hear what he has to say.
I'm all for incentives, by the way.
Me too. And then we have Sasha Armstrong. Who doesn't love dogs? But we don't always love how they behave. And Sasha can help us with that. She's the founder of Canine State of Mind.
Boy, could I tell her some stories.
And then here's a very cool idea for all you people planning to get married. Brian Elliott with wovemade.com, a revolutionary engagement ring company that lets couples design their own rings. It sounds so incredible. So stay tuned for this.
I wish that had been available when we got married, right? We got.
Well, it wasn't available in the early 1900s.
Really? Is that how long it feels? Anyway, before we get to our distinguished guests, it's time for IP in the news. And what are we talking about today?
Well, a U.S. federal court ruled that patent inventors have to be human.
Okay. Well, we've known a lot of inventors with a lot of different characteristics in our time, but they've all been human. I can say that much.
So this was in Chemical and Engineering News by Jillian Kemsley, August 14th, 2022. And a physicist, Imagination Engine CEO Stephen Thaler listed an artificial intelligence system as the sole inventor of a patent.
Right.
Of an invention for a patent.
And as I understand it, they were deliberately naming the AI as the only inventor on the patent so they could get a ruling from the courts. And what the court said was, look at it, the statute itself, the law says it has to be a natural human being. So what makes you think you can change that? I mean, it's going to take an act of Congress to do that.
Well, and we were talking about, it's like, why would you want to do that anyway? And Richard said, well, if it really does invent it, then you could have inventorship issues if you don't claim it as the inventor, and you can always assign it to the person through their company or whatever. But I don't know. I guess the person that created the AI would be the inventor, right?
I don't know. That sounds like a little bit of a stretch. In any case, it's not a problem right now.
But it does remind us of the copyright issue in 2016 when the court ruled that a monkey could not be the owner of a picture.
That's right. That's a famous case where a photographer set his camera on a branch in front of a monkey. The monkey took a selfie, right? And so the question was, is the monkey the owner of the copyright, or is it the photographer? And again, the court said, well, even if the monkey did take the picture, he's not really the creator of the work, even though he kind of was, and we're going to give the copyright to the human. So anyway, I guess it's you got to be human.
Still rule for now.
Humans still rule for now.
Till robots take over.
Anyway, it's time for Richard's Roundtable, and we're going to find out what our guests think about all this. Or if you have a question about intellectual property, toss it out there and we'll bat it around. So Marco Torres, welcome to the show. And what do you think about all this stuff?
Good morning, Richard and Elizabeth. Thank you for having me. I'm a little loss of words on what to talk about when it comes to whether the monkey owns it or the artificial intelligence owns it. It's kind of like, wow, this metaverse is getting deep.
That's right.
Yeah, pretty soon your metaverse avatar is going to own it,
right? Right. It's like, oh my God, I better be careful what my avatar does.
So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's getting to be a crazy world when you have to start answering questions like that, right? So so Sasha, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys. I think this world is is getting a little bit too out of touch, disconnected, and crazy for for my speed. So I do not listen to the news. I don't watch the news. I don't own a TV. I think that most of what is coming through these days is very negative, and destructive, and really keeps people vibrating at a very low frequency. And so, these kinds of things, I don't busy myself with that. It's, I stay on the up and up.
Well, that's a good perspective. I think you do have to stay positive under all circumstances. And if we're having questions about whether or not artificial intelligence can be an inventor on a patent, or whether a monkey can be the creator of a selfie on a photograph, then we are tending in a kind of new direction, I would say.
I feel like if something's negative, we just try to make a joke out of it. It's so ridiculous.
Then you get a reputation of never taking anything seriously.
Exactly.
Brian, what are your thoughts here?
I think it was a genius marketing ploy by a company that built some impressive AI machine learning. I don't think they actually cared that they won the patent, but it makes for great news. And I guarantee there's some folks reaching out to the person that filed that patent, and they want to work with her or him on whatever they've built. So good on them for finding a unique, odd way to use the courts for some marketing, which I'm sure Elizabeth can appreciate.
Yeah. And Marco's like, how to stand out in the world of marketing. Hey, Marco,
There
maybe
you go.
should try
That was
that.
exactly. That was genius.
Find a weird issue.
I hadn't thought about it that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
Find a weird issue. Kenya, hey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm well. So I caught the tail end of that. And you made me think a little bit about like, what does intellectual property protection look like in the metaverse, right? So do the same rules apply in this universe as it does over there? So I just was curious as to how it all works over there, because I feel like definitely that's going to be a conversation piece as we continue to move forward and explore what's going to exist on the other side.
Well, that's true. I know with my VR stuff that I have to buy the apps. Like I pay monthly for this app that has this fitness in it that I like. So there must be some intellectual property there. They're getting money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the basic rules of IP sort of apply no matter what the technology is, but then you have new situations like what we were just talking about. And the law has to try to kind of keep up with that. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. But I don't think like the basic requirements to get a patent are really going to change because of the metaverse. But you never know. We just have to see what the metaverse is and what it's like, and maybe some changes will make sense.
And that there's no monkeying around or going on over there. It's a really bad joke. Sorry.
Oh my God.
I love it. That's what we like to do, is laugh on this show.
That's right.
Well,
that said, the time for laughter has stopped. It's no longer laughing time. Well, we have our guest, Marco Torres, and he is a incentives expert. He's the founder of Marketing Boost, and he had his first business when he was 23 years old. He opened a club that turned out to be really successful, and he came to the United States and got involved in the travel agency business, and he created a company that managed to succeed by creating incentives for all different sorts of incentives, and in particular, client feedback on different types of hotels and travel destinations. So welcome to the show, Marco. It's a pleasure to have you here, and we'd love to hear about your company and how it all works.
Thank you, Richard. So yeah, I launched marketingboost.com back in 2017 with some partners of mine, and it all came about as a kind of an accident. We were in the travel space, as you mentioned, previous to that, and we're building one of the fastest growing travel sites in North America at the time. And one of the things that we wanted and we were kept scratching our head for is how could we get, I mean, if we only had video testimonials from our clients, if we had more social proof, we'd be leveraging that, we'd be able to generate even more sales. And so we were scratching our head, what could we do to incentivize or to encourage people to go the extra mile of filming a selfie testimonial for us and sending that in? So we came up with an idea to do a survey, which was to, find out, when we figured they'd be at the peak of their happiness. And by the way, this tip I'm going to give you, any business could be implementing immediately to enhance their own social media proof and so on. So we would do a survey when we felt our client would likely be at the happiest of their experience, which would be, for example, the day after check-in at the hotel. And so we'd send them an email, a survey, text and email saying, hey, how's the hotel living up to your expectations on a scale of 1 to 5? Score us. How, what do you think of the hotel and our service so far? And if they gave us back a 4 or 5, we'd respond with a, wonderful. If you'd help us spread the word about this resort and film a selfie testimonial from the pool, the beach, the bar, what have you, we will reward you with a complimentary hotel stay in your choice of Orlando or Las Vegas. And those reviews started coming in, flowing in. And then we were, leveraging those all over our website, turning those into thousands of additional sales with that social proof we needed, using them in our ad campaigns, et cetera. And then, of course, people were raising their hand a few months later saying, hey, how do I use that free trip you promised? And so now we were having to dig into our pockets to pay for those 3 nights we were promising in Orlando and Las Vegas. And that was getting expensive. So we came up with now we're scratching our head, how could we keep doing this and reduce that cost? So we went back to those hotel partners in Orlando and Las Vegas. And we said, look, you've got a problem. We think we can fix it. If you we know your hotel is never full year round. Let's be honest. I mean, you're full for certain weekends, holidays, peak season, special events, but the majority of the year, 70% of the year, at least 30% of your rooms, if not more, are going empty. We can help you put warm bodies, couples, families, individuals in those rooms that are otherwise going to go empty. And those people are going to spend money at the restaurant, the bar, the casino, the spa, the gift shop, the excursion desks. They're going to book additional nights. They're going to share, with friends about their experience, and you're going to generate additional revenue. And so we got a few hotels to say, okay, we'll give it a try. So now we had rooms that were not costing us anything to fulfill those free trips we were giving away. And then we thought that started to work like clockwork. So now we're fulfilling the free trips we were giving away. And then we thought to ourselves, can you imagine if we had hundreds of destinations participating around the world, hotels all over the place that would work with us like this? And so then we started soliciting other hotels all over the world to participate. And that became what is marketingboost.com today, where we provide and we totally revolutionized the travel incentive business. We're not the first to do this, but we really turned it upside down because we made it easy to use for marketing, for a member, a business owner, to be able to give away these high value perceived incentives to their clients with whatever their call to action is. And we were able to make it a win for the resorts because they were filling rooms that would have otherwise gone empty and generating additional revenue. So it was a win for the resorts, a win for the Marketing Boost member using the incentives, and a win for the end user, the client who received the incentive because they're now traveling for pennies on the dollar. And all they're really paying for, which I'll explain more as we go along, is the government fees and taxes. Airfare, of course, is not included. Food and beverage is not included, and neither is the government taxes. They're always going to get their piece. When somebody checks into the hotel, they're assuming they're going to get paid their government, tourism taxes and fees. So that's covered with what we call an activation fee. But everybody wins because they're, in this scenario. And that became what is now marketingboost.com. We now have thousands of business owners using our service around the world and adding value to whatever their call to action is. We call it the wow, surprise, and delight factor.
So Marco, do you do anything with law firms? I'm just kidding. Law firms are under strict rules, so I'm not sure that they could use the service, but every other business could. What I think is why I think you were so successful and what's so cool about this is this was not just an ice cream cone you were giving away. This was something that really had value. And you're right. I mean, I never, ever go to a resort, even if I get a free thing and never spend any money.
Right. I mean, that's it's almost impossible, right? Even with the all-inclusives, right? There are ways that you can spend extra money.
Oh, always. So what kind of incentives would you say? I don't know, you had a jewelry shop or something, some other kind of business. I'm assuming they can use your marketing boost as well. What kind of incentives would you have them give away?
Well, we offer three types of incentives, three categories. One is the complimentary hotel stays that I just mentioned, and we now offer them in about 130 destinations around the world, from 3-night stays and places like Las Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Daytona, Atlanta, San Diego, all 30 US destinations, 5 nights in places like Cancun, Punta Cana, Cabo San Lucas, Costa Rica, 7-night stays in places like Phuket, Thailand, and Bali. And then we have hotel savings cards. And these are very powerful because they come in increments of $1, $2, $3, and $500, and they save. They work like a gift card, but they don't pay for the entire hotel stay. They'll discount the room compared to the Expedia's, Pricelines of the world. And we call them a hotel savings card. They're good at over 1 million hotels worldwide. And the third category is restaurant savings vouchers that are good at about 100,000 restaurants and throughout the USA and Canada.
So what is your deal with the merchants then? So so let's say somebody wanted to take advantage of this program. Is the merchant paying for it?
Great question. The membership, it's a payment of only $37 a month for the Marketing Boost member to have access to these incentives. And then they can use as many as they want. Unlimited amount of them they can be using in their marketing strategies, whether they're using them occasionally with lead generation, sweepstakes programs, or what have you, or whether they're using them for full-blown marketing strategies with their call to action and to generate leads, use it for conversions, for appointment setting. There's basically 2 ways to use the incentive. One is either you buy and you get, so you buy a high ticket item and you get a big complimentary 5-night stay in Cancun, for example, or you inquire and you get. So, book an appointment for a no obligation Zoom call and we'll give you a $100 hotel savings card just for showing up on time. That solves one of the biggest problems many of us have today, is we now no longer have to drive all over the state to meet with prospects and make a sales pitch. You've got your team can meet on Zoom calls, but now people book appointments and don't show up. So you can use one of our smaller incentives, a restaurant savings card or a hotel savings card, just to get people to show up on time for those appointments, reward them, and all your reminder emails and text messages might be saying, hey, show up on time for the appointment, and we're going to reward you with a complimentary hotel savings card good at 1 million hotels for your next hotel booking. And
that sounds great. So what is the most unusual promotion that you've ever worked with or your company's ever worked with?
One of them that comes to mind when you ask that question is I have a client who is a windshield repair and replacement company. And they, in that industry, it's very competitive because in most states, or in many states, the insurance companies actually pay for the windshield if they're cracked or broken. So it doesn't come out of the customer's pocket. So the companies are offering cash rebates to select their firm versus somebody else's firm to replace your windshield. And so they have to literally write, cash checks to people, after they install the window, they got to give them back $100, $150 in cash. So this company found Marketing Boost, and they continued to use the cash rebate to stay competitive with their local competitors. But then when the installer went out, they'd get there and they'd install the windshield and they'd say, okay, we can give you that check, the rebate for $150, or we're running a promotion right now. We've got a limited number of these. I can replace that $150 cash for 5 nights in Cancun, Mexico, a $1,500 value getaway. And we'll give you this travel certificate instead of the $150 cash. What do you think? And so people would opt for the vacation incentive, and they would commission the installer for not giving out the cash, or not handing them the check. And they've so far put over $1 million back in their pocket by using these incentives versus handing them cash checks. And
so I got to ask you, what does it cost the windshield company to buy these incentives from you?
That's one thing that sets us apart from our competitors. Typically, our competitors sell these incentives in bundles, and you've got to buy a minimum amount, and you've got to purchase each incentive for as much as $100 a piece. And in our case, it's a flat $37 a month. Now,
Wow.
So they can give away as many as they want. And there is an activation fee, which again covers those government taxes, which after that's paid, then the end user has 18 months to select travel dates. No hoops to jump through, no timeshare presentations, they log in online and put in the dates they want to travel. And then based on availability, they're going to be able to select from the hotel, get instant confirmation, instant gratification. And those activation fees run typically about $30 a night, approximately, to cover the government fees and taxes. And so that can be paid. Most of our members let the end user pay that to activate the certificate, and then they have 18 months to travel. However, there are clients who often decide they want to actually pay that for their clients. So that option is available, so that the Marketing Boost member can pay that incentive, that activation fee if they want. If they're making a big, high ticket sale, they have high profit margins, and they want to give the completely complimentary stay. Again, doesn't include airfare, food and beverage, or government taxes, but then they can pay the government taxes and fees and then give that trip as a completely complimentary hotel stay if they choose.
I think
most of our members don't do that. They let the client do it.
Yeah.
I think radio show hosts should receive complimentary travel vouchers, but we have to take a break right now. You're listening to Passage to Profit. Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart and Marco Torres, who's got a pretty clever approach to providing incentives for businesses to attract customers. We'll be back right after this break.
Well, welcome back, listeners, to Passage to Profit, the road to entrepreneurship with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart.
Sometimes it's a bumpy road, sometimes it's smooth sailing, right?
Yes. And our special guest today, Marco Torres, who I think has to be one of the most creative marketers I've met beyond Kenya. I mean, Kenya's obviously the cream of the crop, but we are going to let Kenya ask Marco a question now. So Kenya, please.
So Marco, I love that your platform has like a no timeshare presentation incentive. Like the word timeshare makes me cringe, to be quite honest with you. But I was curious to know what has been like the highest conversion rate on any of the campaigns that you've run, that you've seen?
Yeah, good question. I don't have all the stats on, all the different members and how they use it, and what type of conversion percentages they have. I do know that I use them myself for, in marketing, to find business owners out there that are, and bring them into our fold. And we use a contest where we're bringing them in to win one of our own complimentary hotel stays in Cancun or Cabo San Lucas. And I'm generating leads on the internet for $3 and $4 a piece for entrepreneurs, for business owners, which is obviously a small percentage of the Facebook ads that I'm running. And so they come in affordably, and then we put them into our Facebook group. And then in the Facebook group, where we have about 29,000 entrepreneurs in there, then we work on showing, building nurturing those prospects, building our own authority and expertise on what we provide, what we teach, and eventually most of them end up becoming members. So it's a very high closing up, ratio for how we use them ourselves. And then we have all types of industries using our incentive. One thing I'd like to cover real quick, if you let me, is a lot of business owners at this point, they might be hearing this and saying, I don't get it. I don't see how I could use an incentive for my business. So if I could, I'd like to give you two of the biggest examples of usage of incentives from major players, if that's okay, to get people thinking. Would that work?
That would
Please.
be wonderful. Yes.
So think about it. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, one of the biggest, richest persons on the planet, right? He came up with years ago and still using it today, and a very powerful incentive. It was Amazon Prime. So early on, he got us to buy into Amazon Prime. Not so much, most of us back then when I did it, I didn't even care about the video content he had on there. I wasn't even much of a video streamer at the time, but I wanted free shipping. So his incentive was buy Amazon Prime, you get free shipping on every product that, just about everything that you can order from Amazon. Mm-hmm. So he eventually captured us all on both Amazon Prime and the free shipping. And now every time we went to shop for something, we'd check and see if Amazon had it first. And eventually we all became, super loyal to Amazon. So that's a big example of how an incentive, the free shipping, can change your business. McDonald's has had for decades the Happy Meal. The Happy Meal for kids. You take your eye off the price and focus on the prize, and you're getting the little toy in the package with the hamburger, the soda, and the fries, or whatever it is. And your parents from all over the country, around the world, are going to McDonald's versus Burger King because they can give that kid, their child, the Happy Meal with the toy in it, so they can be entertained for a little while, and mom and dad can chat for a little while during lunch.
Guilty.
Yeah, Elizabeth really likes her Happy Meals. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what we do, is we give our business owners the ability to have the adult Happy Meal, something different, something to stand out from the crowd, something to add value to whatever your call to action is, with one of our different types of incentives. And we also teach you, whether you use Marketing Boost incentive or not, create your own incentive, create your own Happy Meal. But you should have something that adds value to your call to action for people to select you versus somebody else.
So Marco, I'd really like to draw you out on that a little bit, because I think your company is great, and I really appreciate the business model. Are there other kinds of incentives though? I mean, if you were an entrepreneur starting out, for some reason, maybe the travel piece didn't quite fit, what other kinds of incentives would you have entrepreneurs considering?
Well, I'd be creating to see what I've got on my own shelf. I mean, you think about the grocery stores, we all walk into a grocery store, and what really grabs our attention, 10% off, or the buy one, get ones at the entrance of the store, those big baskets that they'll have full of buy one, get one stuff. And if you really think about it, half the time all they did was double the price of the product, but we're feeling like it's the impulse buy. Now we're buying two, buy one, get one. We're buying 2 cans of beans when we didn't even need one of them, but because we think we're getting a real special deal here, and they practically doubled the price in many cases. So it's what can you create? Can you add value by adding, for example, let's say you're a business coach and you want to, and you're hoping people would hire you not for just 30 days, 60 days, but you want them to stick with you for 6 months. Well, why not come up with the 7th month free? In other words, hey, hire me for 6 months. On your anniversary, I'm going to give you the 7th month free for, and that way you'll see it's going to take us a little while to work together for you to implement all these ideas we're going to work on. Let's put in the 7th month free, and that'll be, as an example of adding your own products to the mix of the incentive. Maybe it's buy one, get one if you can. Maybe it's, network with others. And if you're selling a course, include with, okay, when you buy my course, you get course B from my associate over here included free. And you give your course to him so he can include it with his package. And now you're adding value by building your network. Like Grant Cardone says, if your net worth is not growing, maybe it's time to change your network. And so getting to know people, and maybe there's different products and services. I'm doing that right now with one of my courses. I'm giving it to a colleague. He can include it with his product when he sells his course, and I can include his with mine. And that's an example that has nothing to do with travel incentives, where I'm adding value by networking with others that have similar products and services.
So Marco, I have to ask you this. Who is your typical client? I'm assuming that you're helping companies every day figure out this marketing strategy, which is really brilliant, by the way. So who do you typically work with?
The majority of our clients are a lot of solopreneurs, home-based businesses, direct salespeople, insurance agents, realtors. We do have big businesses, car dealerships. We've got but I mean, literally everything from multi-level marketers use these incentives to get people to, show up for the business opportunity meeting. We've got home improvement companies that are using these to get people to show up or agree to an appointment, to have a salesperson come in, in-house and show them how the solar panels are going to save them money, and so on and so forth. Offer the incentive just to, as part of the appointment booking, and of course having both husband and wife home at the same time as part of the they don't want to talk to one-leggers, as they call it. So if you both show up on time for our appointment, we're going to reward you with a complimentary stay.
So wait a minute. What I'm hearing right now is if Richard and I ever talk to a salesperson again, we better get incentives.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
going to ask him, hey, what hotel do I get to stay at if I talk to you?
But you know, one of the things I Marco, sometimes with some of the travel freebies, you know, we've gotten those a couple of times and it's been really hard to make them work out. So, you know, it was like there were a lot of hurdles and stuff, or you had to go certain times. And, you know, I mean, so how do you overcome that perception, I think?
Yeah, I agree that that is what most of our competitors do. They're actually designed in many cases to not be used. For example, many of our competitors, the incentive requires you to give them 45 days advance notice. You need to choose 2 travel dates, 90 days apart. They'll get back to you with which one you might be able to use and what hotel you're going to get. And essentially, they are trying to make it so hard to use that you end up saying, "Oh, forget about it." And that's the case. And in our case, there's no phone calls to make. It's an online a pet portal that you log into, plug in the dates you want. Now we are filling what would otherwise be empty hotel rooms. So we average about 32 weeks of availability out of 52 for every destination. So we do teach our members how to position and do the proper disclaimers, so they're not setting the wrong expectations. In other words, in our case, our incentives require from 14 to 30 days advance notice, no more than that. Again, we're filling what would otherwise be empty hotel rooms, so they're not going to be available 4th of July, Christmas week, New Year's Eve. They're not going to be available on some of the weekends throughout the year that are peak seasons and so on. So if they can be a little flexible and look on the calendar and see that they've got 32 weeks out of 52, so basically 2/3 of the year available, they'll be able to find dates sometime within the next 18 months to book those dates. They don't work for like, oh, let's give me this incentive. I want to travel next weekend. Then they're going to see when they log in that there's going to be the first 14 days, depending upon the destination, or 30 days are going to be blocked out. And then they'll see dates available beyond the 30-day window to start selecting dates, or selecting the hotel, clicking it, booking it, and getting that instant confirmation.
Right.
So that is definitely one of the what sets us apart from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important, because if you're giving away incentives and then they don't pan out, right, you're going to start getting reviews about that, and it's not going to really help the business. It's going to hurt it, right?
But Kenya, do you have a comment or question about this?
No, I think it's very clever, what you've put together. And I love testimonial marketing, because I think that there's a quote actually by Jeffrey Gitomer. It's, when you say it about yourself, it's bragging, but when other people say it about you, it's the truth. So I think that this is pretty brilliant what you've put together. What's the best offer you've been able to put together for people or a client, like in terms of like an incentive trip, or like what can people look forward to?
Well, we do. My favorite is what we have in Mexico right now. We have for 5-night complimentary hotel stays in Cancun. Right now, the hotels we have in Cancun are branded by the Fives. It's a hotel brand called the Fives. They're AAA rated 4-diamond hotels on the beach or in downtown Playa del Carmen, or a little further down Puerto Morales. Gorgeous properties. Oceanfront and what have you. And of course, food and beverage is not included. So the all-inclusive plans and what have you, they end up being a possible upgrade. There are no upgrades required, but it provides, super value and an amazing hotel stay, whether, at these beautiful resorts in Cancun and in Cabo San Lucas. We offer 4-night stays there. Puerto Vallarta, 5-night stays there, right in the the heart of Puerto Vallarta. So those are my favorite as far as because they're just gorgeous beachfront resorts, and a lot of the other destinations we have, they're Orlando, Las Vegas, but and those are great too, in San Diego and so on. But I personally like the beaches. So if you ask me, or the 7-night stays we offer in in Phuket, Thailand, but that's a long way for most of us. So those are Bali and Thailand are very popular for our business owners in Australia and New Zealand, because for them that's a hop skip away. So
Plus, there's tequila in Mexico.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've enjoyed Cancun on numerous occasions. It is a really kind of magical place.
Well, the ocean there is just amazing.
The ocean is great. You
But
have
Puerto
the
Rico
Isle,
has good ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a recommended.
Do you have any in Puerto Rico?
I don't currently have anything in Puerto Rico right now. We, even though I grew up there, I haven't been able to get back there and really negotiate any special deals. So not yet.
Well, we'll see when that comes.
Anyway, it's been a great conversation, Marco. Thanks so much for joining us. And where can people find you and sign up for your service again?
Yeah, just go to marketingboost.com and you can get a 7-day free trial. And then after that, it's only $37 a month. So even if you're only sprinkling these offers in occasionally with whatever it is you do, I got a couple more seconds. Let me drop some other ideas on how to use these. Would that work?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give you a quick idea. You could use these incentives even to solve customer service problems, like you mentioned a moment ago. That's what made me spark an idea here. You know, you've got a negative review from whatever, somebody in your team dropped the ball. You could reach out to people and say, listen, we really apologize. We dropped the ball. We'd like to ask you to give us a reset button so we can fix the problem. And of course, that's the first thing you need to do is fix the problem. But then you might say, you know, if you'll pull down that negative review after we fix the problem, I'm going to reward you with a 3-night stay in Las Vegas on us. Of course, it doesn't include airfare, food and beverage, or the government taxes. But if you would pull that after we fix the problem, we'd like to give you a hotel stay on us just for your aggravation. And maybe you'd consider pulling down that review. So you can literally help control your online reputation just by using these incentives as part of an encouragement to either modify the negative review or take it down, especially after you solve the problem and use an incentive. And there's just so many more ideas, but you know, we'll move on. And thank you for having me. And marketingboost.com.
Well, people need to sign up with you to find out these other great ideas.
Right. And I was just going to say, I'm sure the thought of a vacation will instantly put even the grumpiest customer in a better mood. Right. So
sure does me.
Anyway, again, thank you, Marco, for joining us. We'll be back with more Passage to Profit right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Passage to Profit. It's Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, our special guest, Marco Torres, who just really provided us with a lot of information about a very interesting and exciting incentive program.
Effective marketing technique.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to go check out his website. And now it is time for Power Move. Kenya, good to see you.
Likewise.
And so can you tell us about Power Move?
So today for Power Move, we're going to talk about Snoop Dogg and Master P. They have collaborated on a new gluten-free cereal that is going to be healthier called Snoop Loops. And when I first,
I hope he trademarks.
I hope so too. That was my biggest concern. I'm like, it just seems very close to another brand that we know out there, but they're pretty smart people. I'm sure that they, you know, have gone through all the loopholes, for lack of a better word. See, I'm on a roll today.
Girl, you are on fire.
So I was thinking the same thing though, about just making sure that they trademarked it, but I'm sure that they went through the proper protocols. But I thought that was interesting. And you know, it's a fruity cereal, but it's supposed to be gluten-free, not a ton of sugar, and healthier for you. So Snoop Loops it is.
Well, that's great. You know, what's amazing is all of the celebrity marketing now that's taking place. It's like so many new brands are coming from celebrities, which you really didn't see even like 10 years ago. But now it's like every celebrity has their own business, and that's just where we're at right now, right? So
yeah.
And Snoop Dogg, he's been involved in a lot of stuff. I've seen
everything, wine, cereal. Snoop
is always thinking.
I could see how that could cause some confusion. Daddy, could you get me some Snoop Loops? You mean Fruit Loops? No, Snoop Loops. Anyway, well, thank you for that. That was great. Elizabeth, time for your presentation. not really sure how to introduce you these days, but
Well, I have a startup and it's a video directory of small businesses. And I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but I'm building a website for it. I did proof of concept through COVID. I interviewed a lot of small business owners, put them on a website that wasn't exactly what I wanted. So now I have somebody building a website that is really the right fit for me. And I'm telling you, we've built websites at Gearhart Law. We've never gone through the process like I'm going through it with this man. He is building it from scratch. He gave me a 20-page document that was the wireframe. So like how the website is laid out, how everything interacts. And I'll tell you, I'm never going to look at building a website the same way again, because this is like a blueprint for the website. And I think that people probably had it for other websites that we've developed, but we've never seen it before and gone through it with them. So building a website with a professional is very different than just throwing together a website. So you have to be careful who you choose. So I'm excited about that. I do think I have a new name for the company, but I want to start using
it's a closely guarded secret until the legal work is done.
I want to start using it before I put it out in the public. But anyway, so I'm excited. I'm moving forward. And as I have said previously, I drafted a provisional patent application on this. And I did that September 21st, almost a year ago. So I have to file the utility patent application by September 21st, 2022. You get 1 year to file a utility patent after you filed your provisional patent application. So I'm working on that at the same time, but this wireframe is going to be part of it. So it's really going to help. So it's going to be a pretty long application. So,
I hear that it's growing exponentially, but
yes,
that's what happens when you have a lot of good ideas.
But enough about me. I want to move on. I'm very interested to hear about this. So Sasha Armstrong is a dog behaviorist, founder of Canine State of Mind, and she is the dog shaman. So please, Sasha, tell us all about what you do and how you do it.
Hi. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Where do I begin? I have a lot of different layers and aspects to the work that I do. As a dog shaman and canine behaviorist, I bridge the disconnect or the breakdown between our relationship with our dogs. So whether it's behavioral issues or clients that are coming to me that literally just want to create the best foundation for their new puppy, or they're dealing with very severe behavioral issues and everything in between. My approach is very much so creating and generating the best version of the human so that they can give that to their relationship with their dogs. We value. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so the human has to change. It's not the dog that changes. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, our dogs, as I always say, do the best with the information that we give them. And so whenever we're in relationship with our dogs, which is exactly what having a dog is all about, is relating to them, partnering with them, sharing a joyous life with them. This is not about a dictatorship, right? This is not about controlling the dog's behavior. This is not about training the dog, which is a big topic that I talk on a lot, is the difference between education and training. And so when our dogs aren't showing up in the ideal version of themselves that we need them to be, whether that's an obedient dog, or a well-mannered dog, well, it's only because we've given them complete, confusing information. And so what are they to do with that, that confusion that we've given to them, but to act out, because it does cause stress and anxiety. And so it's very important that the humans are educated and equipped with the ideal technique and knowledge, ancestral information, all of the ways that we can show up the best version of ourselves, embodied as alphas, as leaders, giving that gift to our dogs so that we can grow in a wonderful partnership that's harmonious and successful. And most humans coexisting with dogs are not successful. We are not, everybody always can say, oh, my dog does this, or my dog does a lot of different things that don't work for me. But there's always something that's out of balance. And I've been working with humans and canines for 25 years. This is my life's work. I have thousands of clients, and I've never come across a human to canine relationship where there wasn't areas that could be brought back into balance, or areas where we can show up in better ways.
So do you change a dog's behavior by changing the human's behavior? Do they both change at the same time? So let's say you have a dog. Well, so we know people that have dogs. Our son has dogs, and his dog would get excited or angry or something and would pee in the house. How would you go about addressing that?
So first thing is that dogs don't get pissed or angry or resentful, or they don't guilt trip us. Those are all humanized projections, right? We're giving a dog human wants, human needs. We're projecting different emotions onto them that are just not actually what is so, what's real for them. So because humans are not communicating to their dogs in a language that is natural and instinctual to them, right? It's all about us. We just assume that what's going on for us is what is going on for the dog. And it's just not that way. So, that situation there, that behavior is showing up as a direct manifestation of stress and anxiety due to the fact that your son's dog has absolute complete confusion and lack of clarity around who is embodying the most important essential role in order for the pack to be successful and survive, which is the leadership alpha roles. And so because your son, not good or bad or wrong or right, it's just because this information, this information is not out there, which is what, makes my company and my courses and my educational offerings so valuable, is that it is giving people the ability, the resources, the education to show up in these embodied alpha roles in a language that our dog understands, so that we can be ultimately successful and not have these behavioral issues come up, which is what, most people are dealing with that. It's not, your son is not unique or specific, his relationship with his dog. It's really what's happening with everybody.
Well, we were visiting him and his wife in their apartment, and it was probably because we were there. We went out to dinner, and when we came back, the dog actually peed on his wife. She was not happy, I gotta tell you. And I figured it was probably because we were there.
Not a great end to the evening.
No.
But
so would that just be the dog's anxiety because he didn't know who was in charge, or because there were extra people around, or?
So the dog is already, whether you're there or not, there is an imbalance. The ideal hierarchy in a dog's understanding of the world, their environment, and their pack dynamic is out of whack, right? So your son, your son's wife, their dog. The roles are reversed. So your son's dog is completely taken on the responsible role of being in charge. And literally that is a physical expression. It's a physical communication of a dog that believes that he has taken on a leadership role, claims the territory of the pack. So by your son's dog marking on his wife, that is a expression of, I am in charge. This is my territory. I am claiming ownership of this space and of you. Now, the dog does not want to assume that responsibility. It's very stressful for them because they're not cut out to fulfill those roles. It's basically like asking a child to run the show, and the parents are the ones that, are are giving the child that responsibility. Everything is on the child's terms. The child can't trust and respect in their parents' leadership. It's exactly what is going on in our relationship with our dogs. They need the same alpha female, alpha male present, solid and secure roles in order to be successful, in order to be happy, in order to be, showing up in the world in the best way. So that's actually really a perfect example of a behavior that shows up because the dog is trying to fulfill this job description, right? Like the dog is having this understanding that he is in charge. And so why wouldn't he mark
Right. Well, that's
ones that he's
that's really
that's a
interesting.
great interpretation. That's really interesting. So Marco, what kind of incentives do you have for dogs to behave? Just kidding. But Marco, do you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, incentives would for the dogs, no, but a bag of cookies might help, right?
As long as they're not chocolate, right?
Right. Sasha, yeah, similarly, I've got asking for a friend. I've got my son's dog he's got two dogs, a German Shepherd and a big white Husky. And that German Shepherd I'm listening to your story there, and it makes sense that he probably has taken over the role of the dominant alpha himself. That German Shepherd is, very protective of the family. They can't, he's dangerous. My daughter went to visit and he ended up snapping and biting her lip. Once, and he's, they thought, okay, he's calmed down. He understands that she's welcome in the home. I've been there, and I'm normally not afraid of dogs. And, I don't know how I'd feel after I found out he bit my daughter's lip, because he's been right up in my face, and I've stayed calm, don't react like I'm nervous or scared at all. And he eventually calms down and is like me. But I don't know what they do to control that dog he's bitten other people's before as well. So I guess the question I have is, how do you have online training? How do you go about acquiring your clients, and how do people find how to, or is it like in-person type of training for your services?
So yeah, thanks for that. So I have a multitude of different educational options. My first master class, which I'm extremely excited about, is coming out at the end of this month. It's called the Embodied Alpha. So I encourage everybody that is looking to up-level their relationship with their dogs. And it could be anywhere from, something that's going on like with it's your son's German Shepherd?
Yes.
Something that is really on the border. It's dangerous, it's a liability. And that dog, as extreme as his stress shows up, there's actually a way to completely relieve that and transform that situation, for the dog, because clearly the dog is not happy. You're looking at that dog in that moment and going like, this dog is not happy about the job that he has to do. He is really stressed. He's really anxious. And so there is, through this work, this is the way to transform that, restoring harmony, not only within the family pack unit, but that creates a different relationship for the dog to receive people outside of the home differently. It really is like a snowball effect. So when you generate that ideal family pack dynamic, it's something that transcends outside of the home. So I definitely would encourage your son to visit with the masterclass. And then I do travel all over the world, working with clients in home. And then I have a virtual education program, again, for clients all over the world. So many different offerings, and anybody can find out about that on my website, which is caninestateofmind.com. And that's spelled out CANINE, stateofmind.com.
Excellent. Kenya, I know you're a dog lover. What do you think?
I'm a big dog lover, and I heard the word dog and I immediately became overwhelmed. We just lost our dog a couple weeks ago. So it was a very emotional time for us. It was very unexpected because he did not let on that he was sick at all. He was older, but we didn't realize he was sick. And one of the questions I have, because my husband and I often talk about, like, he had a very strong will. Like, he had a lot of the same characteristics, like intrinsic things that my husband and I have. And can an animal take that on? Can a dog take on, I don't want to say your personality, but like there was just a lot of things that are very similar to him that were very similar to us, that I just always was curious about whether they were able to intrinsically take on what we carry.
I would absolutely say yes to that. These are animals that we have been in partnership with for thousands of years. So the connection is so deep. Just very recently, archaeologists found footprints that predated when they originally thought humans were, walking the earth. And, it was like way earlier than, I think it, blew them away. And when they're looking at and studying these footprints, well, what was right next to the human footprints? Wolf prints, canine prints. Okay. So we have been in direct partnership with wolves, with dogs for longer than I think even we're aware of at this time. And so the ways in which we mesh together and just almost take on one another's, I mean, it's fascinating. I'm actually in the process of writing a book on this because, it is, we as humans, we like to believe that we domesticated dogs, but in fact, it was dogs, it was wolves that domesticated humans. They were the original teachers, right? We learned from them. They showed us the way. And so, it's interesting with your dog that he took on a lot of this, like these ways of being that you and your husband, embody these characteristics. I think that absolutely, can be. And then there's a lot of chemistries within different pack dynamics that don't gel. And, you have a lot of different personalities. I work with families, I work with single people, I work with organizations, I work with all different kinds of chemistries and dynamics in which humans and canines coexist. And, it sounds like you guys had a very symbiotic, a very fluid kind of, wonderful ways in which you gelled together, which is beautiful. I wouldn't say that exists for a lot of clients that I work with, and that can be very challenging. You have a dog that comes to the table very robust, very strong-willed, very, I would say naturally more assertive or dominant. And then you have a very weak human male, right? A very passive, kind of not confident, nervous, anxious sense about them, and creating an ideal pack hierarchy within that dynamic is completely doable. And that's part of, that's a huge part of my work. And that goes back to coaching the human, right? It's not about the dog. It's about the communication that the human is giving to their dog. It can work, but it can be challenging.
Well, I have to say, Sasha, unfortunately, we're running out of time for this segment. I think that you have a perception that is amazing. And if somebody has a dog that has a problem behavior, I think you'd be an excellent resource for them. I do just want to add quickly that I have cats, but I noticed some of the same stuff with the cats. And
sometimes she acts like a cat.
they
Yes.
think I'm a cat. They do. They do. Our kitten especially thinks I'm a cat. So anyway, on that weird note.
On that weird note.
Well, I wanna say on that we all relate in the power of the community, in the collective. We are all pack animals. So humans in tribes, canines in packs, felines in prides, horses in herds, birds in flocks. We are all pack animals. And so naturally, if we're attuned and we're listening, we are going to be able to sit back and observe our wise, amazing animals that have so much to teach us. And we're able to see a lot of the different, there's the way that we communicate, the language that we speak and the language that cats speak and the language that dogs speak is all energy, body language, eye contact, postures, gestures. That's and that's universal, right? That's universal language. And so it doesn't surprise me that you notice that with I have cats too. I'm a new cat person, but
yes,
they're amazing.
My cats speak mostly through body language, but they let us know what they want. So
anyway,
it's
have time to get on to Brian.
We're going to go on to Brian, but I just want to say again, Sasha Armstrong, caninestatofmind.com. Now we have another presenter on again, a topic about relationships, but a little bit different. It's called wovemade.com. And what Brian has, I think, is really exceptional. It helps young couples design their own rings. So Brian, please tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and amazing hearing Marco and Sasha's stories. So thanks for sharing. We are a custom engagement ring company that connects couples with a jewelry designer remotely where they can design their ring, and then uniquely we build them an exact replica of that ring for an at-home try-on experience. So we really believe in this lifelong purchase that couples should have total certainty in their process. So we provide this at-home trial experience so couples can try it on, make any final design adjustments that they so choose, and then we'll build them the final ring out of our shop in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
So this try-on ring what's it made from?
Yeah, so the truly indistinguishable, I know the listeners can't hear, but Elizabeth is oohing and eyeing.
What's so cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know this is your story, but I just want to say what's so cool about what you just showed me. It looks just like the real ring would look, except it's not the real ring. So I could wear that on vacation because I hate to wear my expensive rings on vacation.
That's exactly what our couples do. We like to call it the honeymoon ring because they'll leave the very expensive one at home and sometimes wear their try-on replica when they're out traveling to maybe one of Marco's free hotels that he got them through the marketing booth. So couples really enjoy that aspect as well.
That's great. Have you thought about making engagement rings for pets?
that is our next market, I think, but got a few things on the roadmap before that. But
Sasha's shaking her head.
Sasha's not loving it.
Well, I told Richard when we were going to go to Aruba, he's like, "Well, I'm not sure I'm going." I said, "Okay, I'm going to take my cat then." But anyway, no, this is such a great idea. So tell us how the process works. Let's say Richard and I wanted to redo our wedding rings. We've been married forever, but let's just say we wanted new rings. And we wanted to.
You lost my wedding ring.
Oh, we won't even get into that. But let's just say what we would come to you. Then what would happen? Like we would contact you through your website, Wove Made.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, you'd answer a few questions about yourself and what you're looking for, and that's actually going to match you with a jewelry designer who works here at Wove. And you'll do a Zoom consultation just like we're talking now, where they're going to really understand what your preferences are, what you love, some of the jewelry you wear now, and then you're going to end a day later with actually a hand sketch of the concept of your ring that you can say, yep, I'm ready to move to try on, or I want to kind of change this color or stone setting. And so really the sketch process done by our designers gets folks a visual representation of their ring. And then a week after you approve that, you'll actually get that ring for an at-home try-on experience that we'll build uniquely for you. So couples usually have it for a week or two at their home, trying it on in their daily life before they say, yep, this is perfect. We'll provide them some curated diamond options to select from at that point. We'll present virtually. They give us the thumbs up and we'll build the final ring for them out of our shop, which takes a couple of weeks at that point.
What if you don't like it?
That's okay. Yeah. So most clients do actually fall in love with the replica because we've gone through the design sketch first, but we have lots of clients that make, oftentimes small tweaks, whether it's the way a diamond's set or the way a diamond's inlaid. And these are really only adjustments that you would realize after you kind of sat with the ring for a while. So it speaks to the power of the process of having a moment to have the ring, wear it around, and then we're happy to make adjustments for our clients for the final ring to make sure that they're happy, because this one's forever. So we want to make sure we nail it for you.
So how long have you been in business, and what prompted you to create this model?
Yeah, it's a great question. My co-founder is really the jewelry side of the business. We started about a year and a half ago, and our initial entry market actually uniquely was folks in the military that were deployed, and so they really had no other options. Both Andrew and I, West Point graduates, served in the Army together. He ran a jewelry business afterwards. I started building companies for a living, and then we really teamed up to help our friends overseas kind of navigate this engagement ring process experience when they first asked us. COVID hit, everyone around the US started asking for the exact same experience, and really the business grew organically from just helping our friends that were deployed to being able to help everyone stateside. And fortunately, the way that people shop have completely shifted and changed, and we're not seeing demand slow down at all with the reopening of stores.
Well, that's good that people are still getting married at a good clip. I guess it kind of depends on whether it depends on what side of the divide you're on. But have you noticed any trends with like men spending more on their rings, or sort of glamming them up a little bit? Because traditionally the man has the plain ring, and the lady gets the gorgeous ring.
We
right?
think you spent more on your ring. You just didn't want to.
Well, Richard, it sounds like you lost your ring, Richard. So if you're ready to glam up, we're happy to help you.
Well, he cut his hand all up, and they had to take it off.
Is that the story? I don't
Yes.
even remember anymore.
You almost cut your thumb off. Anyway, that's just too gross to talk about.
I think what we're seeing, just to answer your question, I think we're seeing rising demand for hyper personalization, that both men and women don't want the exact same ring as somebody that they might work with. They really want a special and unique feature, whether that's a stone inlaid in the inside of the band, or just the geometry of the band itself, just small ways that they'll know it's special. And so we love that we can be so personalized with our clients and give them something that every time they look, it's a reminder of how unique their relationship really is.
I have one more question, then we have to go to Marco, but I have to get this one in. Do people ever get to copy other people's designs? Or can you say nobody gets to copy this design?
Yeah, so we don't copy designs. We do kind of steer towards the more bespoke, personalized design. We can use something as an inspiration to get the general concept that you're interested in, but we do have to kind of personalize uniquely for that client.
Excellent. So Marco.
Yeah, my question there was going to be similarly. I would be lost at I guess typically the woman in the relationship knows more of what she actually wants, but I'd be lost at trying to figure out. I would need, like, how about we start with some sample ideas to pick from, and then start tweaking on that, which I imagine you offer as well.
Yeah, our designers are really good at guiding folks from ideation on a call towards a concept by the end of it. And so they're truly professionals at understanding, they could ask you questions about, hey, like, what are you wearing right now? What does your watch look like? What is, what do you normally wear on a day-to-day basis? What do you feel better in a gold or a silver necklace? And pretty quickly, they'll start navigating with some photos to some imagery that you'll really resonate with. And you're really a co-creator in this process. While you don't know what you want at first, will kind of guide you down that path, and our clients tend to be really happy with where they net out.
What I really love about your business is you've taken something that typically used to be, you had to be in person, you had to be at a jewelry store, you had to do this. If you were going to be designing a ring, you had to be in person with the designer, and doing it now on Zoom and what have you is really genius. Congratulations. It does remind me of another client of mine that does national wedding photography and videography. And he, guess what? He uses the marketing boost incentive, the Honeymoon package. So in other words, when they buy his whole kit and caboodle, when they buy the video, the photographs, the videography, the editing, the picture book, I don't know what they include in the whole kit and caboodle, but then they throw in the honeymoon stay in Cancun or Cabo, for example, or Hawaii. And, they're able to get a higher price than they used to get without it, and hold on to the price versus discounting to beat competitors. So
yeah, no, I just signed up for Marketing Boost, Marco. So you got yourself a new customer. Of the show. So yeah, it's an incredible service, and I look at it as a nice way to surprise and delight customers. And so yeah, so many use cases for what you built, but very, very impressed with that in the business model.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Kenya,
Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Kenya, do you have any comments or?
Yeah, so Marco brought up something very interesting. So this definitely beats the K jeweler store in-store experience I had when I went to go pick out my ring. And I was appreciative because my husband sold his rims to his car to be able to buy me a decent ring. But I just curious, in terms of say you get a ring, right, the first time around and you're not crazy about it. Do you have not from you, but in general, and you want to upgrade? What are options later on the road? Because sometimes, years go by and you're oh, this is actually going to work. So now it's time for an upgrade.
To get serious about it. Yeah. So, I see you, Ken. One moment. Sorry. My Siri just jumped in. Yeah. So what we offer clients is a diamond upgrade program. And this is a nice program because it doesn't put pressure on the couple to try to force, a bigger diamond than they're ready for at that moment in their relationship. This process should not be stressful. It should feel delightful and magical because this is a really special moment in your life. And so what we'll offer is, down the line, if customers want to just trade in their center diamond, we'll hold the value of exactly what we gave it to them for, and then they can upgrade to a different diamond that might be larger relative to the stage of the life that they're in. And so we love that we're able to offer that, but we also I more than anything, I love the stress that it reduces off of that moment in time, knowing, hey, and when I'm in a better spot financially in life in 10 years from now, we can go get that 2.5 carat. But right now, this ring and this band and this design is perfect for us.
Well, if Elizabeth ever wants an upgrade, her new ring is going to have a Gearhart Law logo on it. You can't beat that for romance, can you?
Oh Lord. Okay. Anyway, this is such a great idea.
Get me one with a Gearhart Law logo.
That would be so strange.
Yeah.
A class ring, those class rings you used to wear back.
Yeah.
All right. No, you can cut that piece out.
That is just too weird. So that is a good question. Brian, do you normally get, so first of all, how are you advertising this? And then do you normally get young couples on their first marriage, or do you get people who are maybe going on their second marriage who want to really do the ring right this time? Or what is your customer base?
Well, then if it's marriage number 4, then there's 4 diamonds, right?
Our typically we're seeing first marriages for us. It's typically skews 28 to 35-year-olds, folks that might work in marketing or technology, and folks that are open to trying something that's not the completely traditional path, because couples at this point are buying, actually going through the design process together, which is different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so we find that really unique. We find our customers to be our best source of business. So we really focus on having a really high net promoter score across the experience, and they end up referring folks back to us. We offer a referral program for folks to refer friends, family, anyone back to us. I know Richard's eyes are lighting up. He's going to be part of our referral business.
Yeah, of course. No, I was just going to say, and they get a free travel voucher for every referral, right?
They could be coming in the future. Yeah. And then we've started providing clients actually Instagram reels of their ring being crafted from start to finish that they can post. And so that enables an additional level of sharing that is really exciting, but it's also really unique to something that only Wove can do because we build everything right here in the US. So it draws out some of our equities in a really unique way. And it allows customers to have a unique digital asset they can have on Instagram and in their wedding video that forces folks to say, oh, wow, how did you get that? And then they get steered back to Wove Made.
Wow,
cool.
that is that's amazing, and I really love the way you're putting so much new thought into your business model, and it seems like should be wildly successful. One of the challenges, I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, is scaling this, right? So if you're doing custom craft work, how do you scale the business?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it actually scales quite nicely with some advancements in some handcrafting tools and machinery that just make the process a little bit faster. So it's really the perfect augmentation of what humans are great at and what tools are great at to make us a little bit faster at creating custom jewelry than I think was possible 10 years ago. So that's really a part of what scales nicely. And another part of it is just system design, right? And so we do just-in-time manufacturing for everything that we do, meaning that we always match our labor supply with kind of our marketing outputs. And so it's just creating an equilibrium of the amount of customers we're driving in with our capacity and having a really, really tight pulse on, hey, the dollars in equals, X amount of rings we're going to make this week or month.
That's a cool, quick question. If I can jump in, scaling does seem challenging. In other words, do you have like experts that are in the design and sales process versus the actual whoever is building and designing the ring? It seems like that's two different skills. One being able to create that ring, and somebody else who's able to help move the client from no idea to what they want to making the purchase.
Yeah, those are two unique Wove employees, the people on the design and sales customer facing side, and then the goldsmiths are truly craftspeople building the jewelry. So different skill sets there. But ultimately, we found that our business model has been way more competitive than a lot of our counterparts. We don't have standing inventory that is a huge sunk cost inside of businesses. And we don't have to spend as much on advertising because our experience actually grows our customer base. So we have a lot of dollars reinvested into the business and a lot of free cash flow just because of how unique our offering is.
Well, that is amazing. We have to wind up this segment, but for all you young couples out there that are thinking of getting married, if you want a one-of-a-kind ring based on your personalities and a ring that you can take that is not the real ring that you could take on vacation with you, this is the perfect solution. It's wovemade.com. That was Brian Elliott. And we are going to go to commercial. This is Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, our special guest today, Marco Torres, and we will be right back.
Welcome back to Passage to Profit. Wow, what an incredible show we've had. And if you've missed it, please check us out on our podcast. It'll be out tomorrow and you can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And now it's time for Elizabeth's question. So Elizabeth, what is our question this week?
Richard came up with this one. So the question we're going to ask,
is it my question or your question?
It's my question, but you came up with it. So we share a lot of things. So if you could do one thing over in your life, what would it be? And Marco, we're going to start with you. You're on the hot seat.
You're on the hot seat, Marco.
All right. I think I would take Sasha's mastermind course just so that I could learn to be that alpha male in my own house. Maybe I could wear the pants a little bit more. No, honestly, what I would do over again if I could was when my kids were young. I wish I had if I could do it over again, I'd spend more time with them along the way and making sure I was more in their lives than, being just the breadwinner and focusing on work. And next thing you know, they're grown up. And so if I could do it over again, I'd be spending more time with my younger kids.
Yeah, excellent response.
Yeah.
Okay, Sasha, you're next.
I don't know if I would. I feel very secure in my life path and all the choices that I've made. I don't feel like I would do anything over. I feel like everything has been, from just divinely laid out. It's been a beautiful process. And you know, there's been challenges and bumps in the road and learning experiences, but I definitely don't think I would have done it differently.
I'm not sure I like you anymore. I'm just kidding.
No.
So Brian, is there anything that you would do over or do
I think
differently?
yeah, it's a great question. I'm very jealous of Sasha and your perspective. I think I would have tried to gain a skill set earlier, and the skill set is to focus on being present and in the moment when you're kind of with family and friends. I think, you know, I've been really working on that over the past few years, and it's increased my quality of life significantly with zero change and what's actually going on, but just the skill set to pause and be grateful and thank you for those around you. And so I wish I would have learned that when I was 18, not in my 30s, but it is probably the single best way to increase your quality of time and happiness.
Well, don't worry, you got a
I love
long time to
that.
practice that here in your 30s. So Kenya, what about you?
So Brian, you used a great word, present, which actually I had thought of earlier. And I would say I definitely don't regret any of my choices, but I do regret times where I wasn't as present. And that's something that I am working on, you know, as I move forward with being more present in the moment. Just being just more aware. I mean, sometimes we're working on so many things. We're like in a hurry to get to the next thing, and we're not really being present in our current state, in our current moment, and like really appreciating what's going on and being like connected to that. So that's something I'm working on. And I'm out of my 30s, so you know. But I got some time.
You've got plenty of
Yeah,
time. Let me trust us.
And what about you, Richard?
If I could do anything over again, I'd marry you again. That's for sure.
Ooh. Get another ring, Richard.
Pretty much set myself up for that one, didn't I?
Got 2 carat diamonds.
I think if I were to change anything, and I'm overall pretty happy with the way things worked out, but I would have become an entrepreneur sooner, because it turns out that while I'm an attorney, you don't normally think of attorneys as entrepreneurs, but we did start our own practice, and I think I have a better knack for that than working in the corporate world, which is what I did before I did this. So anyway, those are my thoughts. And if there are people out there who are thinking about making the leap at some point, don't wait too long, because it turns out it could be a really good thing for you, like it was for us. So, and you,
Excellent.
Elizabeth?
Well, you just made me think of something. I was actually going to say, I grew up in Seattle, and I always wanted to live in California, and I never have. And I had a couple times when I moved when I could have gone to California. But I think, like everybody's saying here, the choices we made have led us to where we are today. And we're all pretty happy where we are today. We're all still working on ourselves, right? But I do think when YouTube first started, I really enjoyed that kind of stuff. And I wish that I would have started a YouTube channel when it first started really early with my cats or something, because I've always had cats and they've always done ridiculous things. And like I told Sasha, they think I'm a big cat. And so
you could call it Lizvid.
No,
for Elizabeth's
but
video.
Anyway, so I think taking advantage of new technologies early and making a business out of it, if I could have realized how all the possibilities with that earlier in my life, I think that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Well, now you have a kitten that you can, chronicle.
Oh my, this kitten is weird because he's polydactyl. He's got extra fingers. So he's got these ginormous paws, and he knows how to use them now. He's gotten used to them. I mean, when we first got him,
need a terabyte of storage to handle all of the photographs that she's taken of this cat.
And all those videos. It's funny. When we first got him, he was half dead. We didn't know it. He was only like 5 weeks old, and really had to nurse him back to health. And anyways, but I do have a lot of pictures of him. But yeah, you're right, Kenya. I could do it now.
Yes.
Instagram, though, I think. So
I think those were all excellent comments.
Oh, so now we have to go through everybody's businesses one more time.
We should do that. Final rundown.
Yes. So final rundown. So our guest today was Marco Torres, founder of Marketing Boost, incentive-based marketing expert. And I've got to tell you, this guy has amazing ideas for marketing your business. And you can find
I'm incentivized by the incentives.
Yeah. You can find him at marketingboost.com. Really, he's worth talking to if you have a business, and it's not expensive. That's what got me, was when he told us how much it cost was not that much. And then we had Sasha Armstrong, caninestateofmind.com, dog behaviors. But I think, unlike this really strict, weird lady that was on TV years and years ago, I think Sasha's really got the key to really,
look at it from the dog's point of view.
Really make your dog and yourself interact the way that you want it to have happen. And then Brian Elliott with Wove, wovemade.com, for young couples who want to design their own rings and have them reflect their personalities and do it all remotely. These are all great companies.
I would say the latest and the greatest in wedding gear. So please check him out. Yeah. And unfortunately, we have to sign off, but we'll return to the station next week with another episode of Passage to Profit. Before we go, I'd like to thank the Passage to Profit team, Noah Fleischman, our producer, Alicia Morrissey, our program director, and Mark Wilson, our syndication manager. Our podcast can be found tomorrow anywhere you find your podcast. Just look for the Passage to Profit show. And don't forget to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And remember, while the information during this program is believed to be correct, never take a legal step without checking with your legal professional. This is Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.